I'm thoroughly confused. All right, I'm gonna have to figure this out another time then.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special, very cool Q&A with my guest tonight, which I'm very excited to introduce to you in just a moment. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you're all well. If you're here, please sound off in the chat. We're going to be taking questions. It's a Q&A, and it's not just my questions for Danny, it's your questions. So if you have one, please feel free to punch those in. My guest tonight, as you saw, is he's the creator of Homage and Voyage, and has done work with Illusionist, has his own projects out, including his newest release, MODUS, which I reviewed just yesterday here on this channel. Amazing that we have him. I'm so excited to have him here tonight. Please welcome Danny Goldsmith. Danny, hi. Okay, so we're gonna pop you right into here. All right, so thank you so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm totally stoked to be here. It was fun to do these interviews and chat with people and answer questions. So.
You're so chill. I noticed you looking in the mirror a second ago. Is that a bad angle for you, or okay?
Oh no, I don't mind. I was just noticing. I was like, oh, look at that. You can see
look
my
at
head over there.
Hey, maybe you guys can, maybe you'll learn a couple things by taking a look in that little tiny corner there.
Do this. There you go.
Is it showing? Nice. Wow.
Simultaneous over the shoulder. So?
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. So everybody's saying okay, there was a little bit of an echo, but apparently it's better now. Okay, good. I like that. So just making sure that it's still good. So thank you so much for being here. I had a couple questions for you, and I know that a lot of other people will have questions for you too. So thanks for coming here and being willing to subject yourself to my YouTube audience.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. So here's some of the stuff I wanted to ask. I didn't want to do what everybody does, which is ask you the questions about how you got into magic, or why coins, or that kind of stuff. You've been interviewed before, right?
Those are the questions too. Yeah.
Those are the questions. So I mean, those are softball questions, and I think there's not a lot of necessarily effort put into them. So I wanted to ask you some other things, and if you don't feel comfortable answering some of them, then don't. But nothing too personal. But I noticed, and somebody else made an observation about the types of coins that you use. You're never seen using half dollars really, or quarters. It's almost always silver dollars or dollar size coins. And I was curious if that had something to do with. I know that your grandfather had passed away when you were 15, and I wonder if the gift of those coins was kind of why you continue to use dollars to this day, or if there was another reason for it.
Yeah. So my grandpa also gifted me a bunch of $50 and stuff. So these are walking liberties. I like coins that have more weight. The $50, they feel like they're about to float away at any moment, and it's just not as ideal in my opinion. They're also just so tiny that a one coin routine with this, it's just not. I mean, it's just not as visual. If you're doing a 3-5 with this, it's harder to distinguish the coins from each other than if you have three Morgan dollars. Easier to distinguish due to the roundness, the differentiation of the coins, and it's just overall more visual. I haven't had a reason to use $50. But one of the arguments I've always gotten is, yeah, well, my hands are too small, and I've heard that from every single person I've ever heard that from in person who said that to me. Their hands were significantly larger than mine. I have really tiny hands. I can't even palm a card without flashing. The edges always stick out. If I push that down, it will pop out there, just because I just have small hands. And yet I still use dollars. So I don't see any reason not to use them. They're more visual. They have a good weight, and I think that weight gives you a little more control over it in a lot of ways.
That's really interesting.
Those are my main reasons.
Okay, fair enough. And I've done a couple of coin tutorials on this channel, and I and maybe because you're the coin bay. I'm gonna keep going back to that. You can blame my wife for that. But I wanted to ask you about specifically a tutorial that I have on this channel. I think it's credited to Slidini, but I wanted to know if you knew for sure. Kind of an aside. But there's a coin effect where the coin is placed in your hand and then it's stolen out as you're making a pass over it. It gets ejected from the palm held with the fingertips and then is gripped and I believe that's attributed to Slidini. But I don't know.
I saw the. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I saw the tutorial you did.
Oh yeah, well you do it like 1,000 times better. But is anybody surprised?
I use this somewhat. I use this thing, and I don't know if this exists somewhere. It's just something I found myself doing it more from here. I liked this more. You could be here. You can see the coins in the hands, and you can wave over and steal without the kind of turning gesture. But yeah, I do. Sorry, you had a question about it. It's a fun move.
Yeah, well, thank you for. I was like, I believe it's Slidini's, but I couldn't. I was looking through all of his texts and I couldn't find it anywhere. And thought maybe you might know, so I'm taking advantage.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can't confirm or nor deny whether or not it's from Slidini.
But you know it exists.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to also ask you about, because I know about your projects. I actually knew you originally from your projects with Illusionist, and I honestly didn't even know until you reached out to me about the projects that you do yourself on Gumroad, and I was just blown away by that. I was like, this is really, really cool. I had never even considered that anybody would do that. You have some really awesome stuff out on your site. And
thanks, man.
Yeah. By the way, everybody, if you haven't checked out the review on MODUS, please go do that. There's also links in the description of this video where you can go take a look at the trailer and the product and all that stuff. So please do. But I was curious about what it's like to work on a project like MODUS versus maybe Silversmith, or I'm just pulling one of them out of.
Yeah.
What is it like working with Illusionist as a team or that kind of setting versus doing it by yourself?
Yeah, you mean like the actual filming process?
Yeah, the production of I mean, like it could be from everything from ideation. I'm curious about how that comes out, and then the filming process and the editing process.
Right. So I had a project idea when they kind of came to me. Lloyd Barnes reached out to me and was like, "Hey, man, like we'd love to release your stuff." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I have some project ideas." And they they actually flew me out to Nepal, which is really cool. That was the highlight of working with them for sure, to film that project. And it's you wake up, you film the performance videos, you form the tutorials, you go out and you get some live performances, which not all the live performance made it onto the project. I'm not quite sure why, but some of them did. And then then they go edit it. I'm not really part of the editing process, and then it gets launched. Then that's basically it. But yeah, you wake up and you film. You usually they have like a certain amount of time they're there for, and you gotta get it all done before then. So you want to make sure your routine's like well practiced and that you can get all the shots you need. And we had 3 days to film 3 projects, only 2 of which came out, and then some files got corrupted, and I won't go into all of that. So then some things had to be refilmed and whatnot. But whereas doing it yourself, which I then decided to do, I had to get a camera. I had to learn video editing. I had to learn all of these things, and the trailer for MODUS is the first thing I ever video edited, and I had so much fun in the process, learning film and learning video editing, even just basics. And that was a blast. And it's you do it at your own pace. So it was like I chose a day, I set up the lighting, I chose a spot I wanted to film in, and I just went from there. And my partner, she helped me out a little bit. She's behind the camera at the points where I couldn't be, and I got it filmed, got it edited, uploaded on Gumroad, and launched it. And it's a good bit of work, but it's if you have the time to learn video editing, you have the time to learn the camera side of things and to do all of that, and you have the following to launch it yourself. In a lot of ways, it makes more sense. And I already had a large following, so I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, well, I mean that's fair, right? I mean, you get I don't know how much Illusionist has creative control or not, and that's maybe not any of my business, but imagine being able to take things at your own pace and not have it be I've got to do 3 projects in 3 days, which sounds like a crazy shooting schedule. It was 18-hour days. I imagine it was.
It's a lot of filming. I mean, you spend a lot of time doing it, especially me. I'm a perfectionist, and I perform all of this stuff for real people in the real world. I do gigs, despite the fact that people think my work's camera work. I use all this stuff in the real world regularly, but when you do it on a camera, camera catches everything. And I'm picky. I'm a perfectionist. And I remember Dwayne Williams, who was filming it with me, he's like, looking back over, he goes, "That looks amazing." I was like, there's one point here where my ring finger moves and it just didn't need to. Let's reshoot it. Like I just refused for my first project to have I didn't want any imperfections, and it's still imperfections. I look back on it and go, "Oh, I should have done that."
I bet they loved you for that.
I know.
It's like, let's just go set up and shoot and not tell Danny we're going.
Right. Sometimes it's tough if you approach it from an artist, from the artistic perspective. So you're gonna have this balance of this, like, okay, here's business Danny and here's artist Danny, and they can't both run the show.
Well, that kind of leads into my next question was, at least it's my experience. I don't know. I assume it's a universal experience. We only have our own selves as a model for everyone else. So, but I find that whenever I release a project, it never feels like it's done. And with Illusionist, maybe that decision's made for you a little bit. But with something like MODUS, how do you know you're done? When can you sign off on it and let it go into the world?
It's tricky. I mean, MODUS is an interesting one. That's like a collection of moves, right? And this was just have my list of things that I eventually want to like release and put out there and share with the Magic community. And there's some things that just, I use every once in a while. I'll randomly just sprinkle them into routines, but it didn't make sense for them to be in certain projects. So there are all these little one-off things. I thought, oh, I'll just make a project of one-off things. And yeah, I liked them all. I thought about it. It was tricky at first because the Twister Vanish that I teach in MODUS has like so many uses, and there was things that even after the project, I was like, I missed that. Like at one point, I do this move, right? It's still there, but it's a Twister Rops move. But I didn't do it as a change. I didn't talk about doing it as a change in that. And I thought, oh, afterwards, it's like, oh, I could have taught it like that. I could have told people use the subtlety from the Twister turnover move, and if you mix that subtlety with the with the Twister Rocks, you would get this nice little change. So that sometimes I still have ideas like that, and it's, when is it really done? I don't think anything as an artist is ever truly done. Or we're always growing, and our routines always grow, and changes are always made. But I think there's still something really valuable in sharing, where we're at and our insights along the way. I think we have to appreciate each routine enough to go, oh, I like this enough to share it with the world, rather than it's not finished, because it's never finished. And it's good even when it's not finished. All the points in between. So.
That's a really nice way to look at that. That'll help me. if I ever am stuck on a thing going, I can't. I'm just gonna come back and watch this interview we did. So, thank you.
Yeah, I had a thing in like my homage project. I get some points here. I need some silver dollars. So I'll do a quick little performance thing.
Oh,
but
yeah,
there was
a
beginning piece of this routine, right, where I basically changed it, and I did the move you just saw instead of what I originally had. And this isn't how I taught it in homage, but in homage I do this thing that I didn't quite like, and now I'm like, oh, I should have done that. That looks a lot better. So I'll hang this piece there, and then I'll take that. Let's see if we can. My fingers will work for me. There we go.
Oh, beautiful.
Silver dollar. Sorry, we need one. Oh, my fingers don't want to work right now. There we go. Two silver dollars, and we'll finish this off with its kicker ending of changing those into. There we go. 2 different things. Sorry, it's not exactly how the routine normally goes. My fingers are not quite warmed up, but all of that just to say, there was this thing where I was doing this. I didn't like that. I was like, there was just a silver coin in my left hand. Why the hell did I why does this one go here and then I take that one? That doesn't make any sense. And I look back, and we all magicians do this a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like magicians are really bad about the whole like produce 2 coins, produce a third one, and then they do this.
Why did you do that?
Why did you do that? You just told them what the method was. You just told them that the coin has to be over here before I can do the move. It's like, so I focus a lot on proper motivation, but I still have little things like that, and I was like, oh, I gotta fix that. So I had this like tap gesture, and it was a way to basically do that, and that was something that I came up with later, and I was like, oh man, I wish I could go back in time and add that to homage, but it's like I'll find a place for it in a future project or something.
Well, I wonder, there's kind of an interesting idea there. I'm a bit of a gamer, and I don't know about you. I know for sure I can't find like a single like good like straight on headshot of you anywhere on the internet. Like that. I struggled to find something for that.
Oh, you could ask. I have a folder.
Yeah, I should ask. Kind of an elusive figure in some ways, I think, and that which was amazing to me that you were so willing to come on. I was like, oh, okay, well, it's good, cool, all right. Well, the reason I was talking about the brought up the gamer thing was it's often the case, you buy any new video game, that down the line you'll get like extra stuff, right? They'll do like, hey, if you want to get like an extra story mission or something, you can pay an extra $4.99 to get this little add-on pack that allows you to. And I've only seen that in video games, but I haven't really seen that in Magic projects, and I thought that would be really interesting to do. And I didn't know when you were talking about all this. I don't know if that rings any kind of interest bell for you or not.
Yeah. Well, Gumroad has this option where you can add things like say you purchased MODUS on my Gumroad. If I wanted to tomorrow be like, oh, I'm just gonna add this to there, it would just show up in your library.
Okay, so there is something like that.
Yeah, so I could do that. It wouldn't charge you anymore. It'd just be something you just got for free.
Wow.
I mean, I could, of course, like release it, separately and do like a part 2 or something. But no, I thought about actually adding some things if I ever come up with a handful of things, and I'm like, oh, let me just give this to the people who liked it.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So.
Right on. Yeah. Cool. So I have some questions from the audience, so I'd like to bring them to you.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Skelly asks, where and how did you learn the tricks that you do, or are you entirely self-taught? I assume that there's maybe a question about maybe mentorship, or was it books, DVDs, other people?
See. Yeah, so I didn't have a mentor. I started with Bobos. That was big for me. I actually came across this like tattered copy of Bobos in a bookstore. And, some of you may have heard the story before, but long story short, probably find this on other interviews if you really wanted to. I used to go into the bookstore every day because I couldn't afford the book, and I'd sit there with my grandpa's coins, and I'd learn as much as I could from Bobos. And I spent a lot of time doing that, so I learned that way in the beginning. Later on, it was through videos. It was like Eric Jones' work and Onto the Smith. And a big one for me ended up being kind of a Harbottle. And his books, especially like Coins on Edge, Cointopia, those were great. But then I think, Paying Alive lectures, I liked those a lot too. I think Kainoa's Paying Alive lecture was really helpful for me. Yeah, that's mostly it. And then, what's the Fists of Fury or something? That's not what it's called. It's like a kung fu movie. What's the Curtis Cam thing? Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
Sure. There's a.
Who's gonna correct you?
Oh man, what are these old? They were like DVDs. They were really knuckle busting coin stuff. I can't remember the name of them.
It'll come to you.
Anyways, it was like Reed McClintock and Curtis Cam and these guys doing these super knuckle busting coin stuff, and I liked that stuff too. I like the challenging stuff. So, yeah, I learned through a combination of books and videos.
Awesome. I have I don't, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. I was surprised that there's some magicians who are not aware of Bobo. He actually I live where he used to live, or a city away. He was a magician, a children's magician in Richardson, Texas. I live in Plano, which is just a city north of that. So there are people around this area who knew him. It's weird to hear stories like, oh yeah, I used to come to the Magic Club, or he was a kid's magician, or
that's a trip.
It is a trip.
Yeah, that must feel like you're being stretched across a timeline there.
It does. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's connected to the past.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's super cool.
Yeah. You ever come out to a Texas Association of Magicians conference? I'll show you around town.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I got a word in. I'll see if I can, I have some other questions here too. I'm just trying to keep up with the chat because they're going really fast. AMS Magician says Palms of Steel and Fists of Fury.
Thank you. Yes. Fists of Fury was one of them, but Palms of Steel, that was the one I was trying to think of. I couldn't.
He's got all of them. He's got Silverado Palms of Steel.
Oh, nice.
Casablanca Palms. AMS is one of our resident like coin He's always showing me some hard bottle move or something. So it's like, why are you? Is that palming a coin if it's not in your palm? Like, what is, yeah, AMS is awesome. Cool guy.
Nice. Yeah, Harbottle was one of the more inspiring magicians for me in terms of coins. His pendulum hanging coins routine, right? Which many of you guys know. That was an absolute favorite of mine. But
wow.
How did this routine go? Oh yeah, you're here. Right, but that was his, and then I loved the, because the vanishing in the last coin is always tricky because it gives you that magic wand concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to, where else would you put the coin if you weren't holding it to conceal them, So
Right.
I loved that he only vanishes it for a moment. He does that thing of the last one. There's no room left in the air, so you can only get to go for a second before it comes back. Just a second, and that's about it. And I liked that. I thought that was really neat. And then I can't remember how, dropping things. I can't remember how pendulum hanging coins ended. But I always steal the thing from misbehaving, where you reach out and you get the third coin here because the second arrived here at the same time the fourth arrived over here. That whole thing.
That's beautiful.
Anyways,
yeah.
love Kainoa stuff.
Yeah, that's my first experience with that routine is actually is David Roth.
Yeah, Roth did this whole thing.
Which I did find
can't even do it.
with respect to the late great David Roth, I always found that the handling a little bit unusual. It feels a little not as elegant as some of the more, but also I think it's one of the earliest routines of that, though.
There are a lot of things that Roth was doing was a little unusual, but he was innovating. He was exploring in ways that a lot of magicians hadn't in coins, and that's the unusualness is a necessary step in making leaps and bounds in coin magic, which he absolutely did. Wow. And the unusualness is part of the exploration, the stretching out into something new.
You have to be willing to be unusual, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I
like that. I have some more questions here too for you. I want to make sure I'm not skipping anybody because I'm sure I am, and if I am, please use the @themagicminute tag so that way your comments shine and pop on the chat so I can see you guys. Mike D asks, "Hey Danny, do you ever think that you will dabble in gaffs anytime soon?" Winky face, thumbs up.
Yeah, that's a possibility one of these days. I feel like if something can be done without gaffs, why use the gaff? That's my only mindset with it. But I get it. I get the idea with gaffs. I mean, you could do some really, like, if I wanted to take a coin and get to really, really visually drop on the table.
You are a professional.
I want to get to really visually change into a copper coin, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a fun thing, but I couldn't do that with the standard coin.
Right. So there's a place for them, but they're not the solution to everything. Is that what I'm?
Here's where I really land on it. Eric Jones, impossible coins across. You'll never see a more impossible coins across, hence the name. And it just, you can never do that without gaffs. It's just not possible.
Just be honest here.
I've explored it. Trust me. I thought, like, but can you? And you can't. And it's amazing. It's an amazing routine. I just personally prefer to be able to hand these out before and after. If you're not even necessarily like, check them again, but just like, these are American silver dollars from the 1800s. Check these out. Well, this is over 100 years old. This is a part of our history. These coins have seen some.
Thanks for muting.
Yeah, I'll bleep myself. And like, there's something magical just in that, and a spectator experiencing these. So I think that gives them a relationship to it, and then to go and take something like this and do magic with it, no matter what it is, whether you're doing hanging coins, or you're merging one coin through the other. But I think that makes it so much more powerful that they just felt these coins. They just saw that, like, oh, that's a solid silver dollar. That shouldn't do that, or that. But anyways, so when you hand these to somebody and they feel that, they experience that, and then you do that, it's like, what? And they want to see them again, and you could just immediately hand them out. I think that's really strong, and it brings the spectator into it more. I think it's actually kind of weird to present something so cool and to not let somebody see them. It's very natural to hand something to someone when you're showing them something new. So that's my personal preference around it. It's just the way that the audience can connect with it and actually feel it. Because we use our eyes in magic, and sometimes we even use our ears a little bit. But yeah. How often do spectators really get to touch them? Well, impossible coins across, so you can touch them actually. And it's a gas. That's like the best of both worlds. But yeah. So, well, there you go. You can take either view, either angle.
Yeah, well, that's a yeah. I think that's a good approach. It's like, well,
yeah, whatever works for you.
Yeah,
my thing with the gaffs is people get lazy with them. That's my only thing. Is that
fair enough.
People get real lazy, and you see this kind of thing all the time just because people want to use the nesting principle. And then they'll go a step further. They'll take them away to show them separately, put them back, and do it again so that they can nest again. And it's just that kind of thing. It's no longer an art form when you do that. It's not art. You're doing tricks then. And for it to be art, it has to be graceful. It has to be purposeful. And if you're acting in a way that doesn't have purpose, that's not art. And so that's where it differs. And for me, I don't see a lot of the ways that I think a lot of the ways that gaffs are used, people rely on them too heavily, and it loses the grace.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Wow, insightful. That was thank you. I appreciate.
Maybe a little opinionated, but whatever.
Opinionated, sure, but we're all entitled to them, right? And
sure, yeah.
No, but I like that. It wasn't a well, gaffs are bad, or it's there's because most of the time whenever you talk to somebody, they're hardcore on one side or the other. They say, hey, like, gaffs are great. Buy up all the gaffs. Use the gaffs. They make your life easy. Why not focus on on the presentation? And then let the gaff do the work for you. And the other side is that, if you're letting it all run on automatic, you're not paying attention to the presentation anyway.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I don't see many magicians who use gaffs paying attention to their presentation. I see very little presentation in coin magic. It's one of the things that it bothers me a little bit. It needs it. This kind of, take the coin, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do that, we go here, we go here, we go there. It's like it's great,
beautiful, but
it's pretty. But
why am I watching this?
Yeah. Well, and I say this all the time. I'm a broken record with this one, but you're presenting moves. That's all you're presenting. You have no presentation. So what is the spectator going to have a narrative about except for the method?
Yeah.
How are they going to relate to it? They're going to figure out the method because you're not presenting anything. You have no story. You're all special effects and no context, no story, no, it's like if you went to a movie, it's just all special effects and the story made no sense. We've seen these kinds of movies.
Yes, we have.
They're not. You walk away really disappointed.
And you never watch it again.
Challenging it. Yeah. So it's like, I don't see much presentation being used in coin magic. So it's funny. A lot of the arguments I see for gaffs seem to me to be mostly excuses. If I may be a little blunt.
No, please. Yeah.
Not that that's from everyone.
It's a generalization.
Generally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but you know what? I think you've earned the right to say that. But it's the same thing. I mean, that's again, you know, I'm not the one being interviewed, so I'm not gonna. But that's kind of what this, you know, one of the goals of this channel is about. My tagline is taking tricks or turning tricks into real magic, and it's not, you know, it's not just this move, this move, this move. Everybody clap. It's about how do you present it in a way that makes people care or touches them
Right.
emotionally or makes them think, or that's what the whole thing's about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, any 10-year-old with a stripper deck can, fool somebody, but that doesn't, but it's not, you know, it doesn't change anybody's life. So,
Right.
you know, that's
Yeah, and I mean, it's fine if you want to just do tricks and go out and perform
sure.
tricks for people and that be, it be entertaining. That's fine. I think it's tricky. I think some of us will say, well, that's not magic. And it's to us, and I think this is where people differ in their opinion of magic. This is a really, uh, there's a lot of schism around this topic, I
Mm.
think. Magic as the state of wonder that's invoked, or magic as the just bewildering somebody. Because you can bewilder someone and they could feel like kind of conflicted and try to figure out the method. But, many of the greats have defined magic as a suspension of disbelief. If they're
Hmm.
trying to figure out your method, they have not suspended disbelief.
No.
It doesn't matter if they can't figure out the method, they're not experiencing magic according to a lot of the greats, Tamaris, uh, and I mean I could go on. There's many people have talked about suspension and disbelief as one of the most primary definitions for what state of magic or wonder is. But if they're constantly trying to figure out the method, they haven't suspended disbelief. So
Hmm.
we have to be able to present a presentation so that they can drop the trying to figure out the method enough to really experience magic. And that involves a good presentation, but not everyone's a performer in that kind of way, like where they are good telling stories and presenting something. Some people just like to perform a trick, or they like to show a trick, and I think that's fine. It's just it almost feels funny to call them both magic, in my opinion. I think it depends on how someone defines it, and some of us will go, "Well, that's not magic. That's magic tricks," and then there's magic, the art form, which has grace and all these things. But it gets complicated because there's not a fine line between the two.
There's
Like
not.
you can find some blurry zones in between. There's some
Bar
things that
bets.
were sure. I mean,
I mean,
yeah,
those.
because yeah, they can expect it. I think where the line gets blurred is in the subjective experience of the spectator.
Hmm. And how does
It's
someone trying to categorize that as not that person quantify that? It becomes a
yeah.
you can't.
Well, I think it has to do with the mindset. I think where we tend to differentiate though is on the mindset of how it's performed, right? It's if it's performed in the place of, oh, I want to invoke the state of wonder, yes, that's more likely to create the state of wonder than, oh, I want to fool people. I want them to
Mm.
not know my method,
Hmm.
right? You could focus on that, have no presentation, do a bunch of moves, and be happy that the person didn't figure it out. And then, that's a nice ego trip and all, but it's not necessarily going to invoke the state of wonder as much as it's just going to invoke a state of bewilderment, confusion, and frustration that the magician gets off on, you know?
Yeah, which
Um,
is not my preferred approach.
right. And but that's some people like to do it that way. But I
Sure.
think where the line gets blurry, or is the subjective experience of this participant being that we are actually all capable of experiencing wonder from anything. I've experienced wonder in watching Cirque du Soleil. No one there they're not doing magic, but I walk away feeling like a kid in this world of imagination the same way I feel when I see a really good magic trick. It's no different. It's that same quality of mind. So and someone can experience that from a bar bet or like something like that because they, as a participant, are gifted at suspending disbelief. It's not necessarily on behalf of the magician, though, at that point. Because the magician's not necessarily trying to get them to suspend disbelief. They're trying to fool them, right? So I think the difference or where people try to draw the line is what is the perspective of the magician? Is the magician just simply trying to fool them? this kind of intellectual satisfaction of being the smartest person in the room, or some kind of egotistical nonsense such as that? Or are they really trying to invoke the state of suspension and disbelief through a quality of presentation, storytelling, and inviting the spectator into suspending disbelief in a way where they, you meet them halfway with the state of awe and amazement, as well as their participation in imagining, the impossible.
So it sounds like you're talking more about a symbiotic relationship versus a parasitic relationship to your spectator.
Yeah, because the problem with the parasitic relationship is they'll try to reject it, as all beings do. They try to reject parasites, and you don't live with them. You fight it a little bit, and it's like when someone goes, "No, wait, no, no, hold on," and we like that reaction because it satisfies our ego, right? But they're not experiencing wonder. They've not suspended disbelief. They're struggling, actually. And that's not the same as somebody who just goes, I have no idea. That was amazing. Like, I feel like a kid again. They relax. That's the difference. That sticks with them. That goes into their life in a way where they relax into their world and they see wonder in their world. The other one is a conflicted state where they're battling with their own intelligence, and the magician gets off on it. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, and I think this is a very important conversation to have in public. So thank you for taking the time to really dive into that. That's
yeah. It's a fun one, and I'm not the end all be all on this.
Well, no,
sure, just my personal views, and anybody who ever wants to come chat with me on it, feel free. I'm always open to discussion around this. I don't want it to come off as like overly opinionated. This is my direct experience of the mind in relationship to rationality and metaphorical perception. And that's something I've studied through my studies of neuroscience, my studies of meditation, of teaching meditation, of working with people in their relationship with their mind, and tying that all into being a performer and going out there and performing every day, as part of my living for 18 years. So, in my experience, for me, it's a direct experience. It's not a theory, but I'm always happy to have it questioned and challenged and explored together. So I always invite that.
Well, sure. Yeah, I mean that's how you. I think that there is a constant state of, or there should be a constant state of questioning it as why you believe a certain thing in the first place. You can't grow as a person without challenging the beliefs that you have. And why do I think that, or why do I believe that in the first place? Is that a correct thought? Is it not? What is So yeah, this is it speaks to the meditation that you've done on all of this, and that's wonderful stuff. This is stuff that I'd love to be able to bring to the Magic Minute, because it really adds to the conversation we're all having. And I'm sure we're going to be in the Discord chatting about this a lot. And speaking of which, AMS Magician wanted to know when you're going to be back on the Illusionist Discord, because everybody miss you there.
Yeah, I'm having physical issues right now. I have a herniated disc in my L5S1, the lowest
Yikes.
disc in my spine, and this wasn't something that happened 2.5 years ago. It actually it tore, and I was paralyzed down my entire right leg, and to recover from that. And I've had ups and downs, and then for some reason recently it just got really bad again, and it's been tough. So I've been spending the last couple of weeks really focusing on physical therapy as much as possible and trying to get myself in a better situation, and it's getting there. And hopefully when I could, so there's been that, and then the time that I do have, I just launched this project, so I'm busy with stuff like that, relating to customers and emails and this stuff. And but when I have some time, I will be back and hang out with you guys, because I do miss it. I I like being in community. I miss that. It's hard during pandemic to not be in community with people, and it's been so nice to have these kind of online groups where we could jump on and, shoot this with people. Sorry, I keep having to mute myself because I catch myself halfway about to say something. I didn't plan that.
Shoot the That's great. Oh, we're on late enough. I don't. My demographic is starts at about 18 and goes up from there. So you're okay. I'm not monetized, not yet. Okay, wonderful. But I'm very sorry about your. I did not know that.
Yeah. No, don't worry about it. It's all okay. It's been good. Oddly enough, it's
okay. Sure.
This situation
ever
came
positive
about
Danny,
because I pushed away a relationship to my body and treated it like it was this indestructible thing. I was reckless with it, and that of course put me in a position where I had no choice but to relate to my body and treat it as what it actually is, this aging, impermanent thing that needs care. So in the long run, it's been a profound lesson that has been profoundly beneficial to, the way that I live my life. It's just been a painful way to learn it. And, ultimately, I appreciate it. So it's.
Well, we all wish you well, of course. And
Thank you.
yeah, if there's anything I can do, behind the scenes or anything to help you out, let me know.
Yeah, no.
And thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't so much a question for you, but a comment that I want to make sure you see or hear is Allie Morgan says, OMG, I just bought his download today. My coin magic has changed forever. Thank you for your moves and practice philosophy. Removing gimmicks from my routine is a great, real challenge. Thank you so much. So that's
awesome. So glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, and I'm not sure which project you got, but yeah, in different projects I talk about proper motivation, and when you really get a good understanding of that, go revisit gimmicks, because those two things together can be amazing. We don't have to discard them altogether. I'm actually just now really exploring gimmicks and trying to see okay, what's something with gaffs that I would be all about, and so I'm having fun kind of exploring.
Well, what gaffs would Danny Goldsmith use?
Well, I did this change for you guys a moment ago, right? Where I did this. So take a copper coin. Let's see if I can get this one. You get it right. There you go. Like
that.
It looks like
beautiful.
It looks like a flap coin.
Ah.
It's not a flap coin. It's a copper silver coin, but. So yeah, I've been messing around with that. Actually, something about the copper silver coin that I really love. It's this solid thing. There's something really neat about that. I don't know. It feels it feels so much less delicate.
You're not gonna break the dang thing, but yeah.
It makes appropriate sound. That's one thing I really like about it. That's a thing that I can't stand about shells and most gimmicks. These are amazing for the sound that they make. To have sound manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds very easy to manipulate. This is vibrations moving through the air. That's in our head. Literally, this whole thing that we call sound. It's just an imaginary sense, and we don't even quite know its location. We assume we know its location, and go, oh yeah. So over there, like when you think you hear your phone ringing, and then you find out it was somewhere else entirely. It's sounds a fantastic thing to manipulate, and the fact that these make sound at this entire level of dynamism to it that I just refuse to sacrifice in any of my routines, because even if it doesn't directly use sound manipulation, the fact that they just at any point I have that, it just brings it alive and brings it into the environment as something more than they see. They hear the quality of these coins. It's just another way of reaffirming their existence. They're as something real, and having that contrast between something real and something unreal occurring simultaneously for the spectator. So I think bringing more sensory perception into it, the better. And that's something that unfortunately you kind of have to sacrifice with shells, because they get that tinny sound. It doesn't quite sound right. So yeah, I love the copper silver coin for that reason.
And I want to point out just real quick too, because I would love to hear what other gaps you're playing with. But I want to just, for the audience, point out that's an example what Danny just did there of using a presentation, a story with coin magic.
Yeah, there
right?
you go.
Right? It wasn't, look, it disappears, it reappears, it's over here,
Right,
it's behind my elbow, it's behind my lapel. There's motivation and
Here, I'll give you guys a simple one.
Oh yeah.
Let's do this. You guys ever seen, magicians, they pull money out of thin air? Is this in frame, by the way? I did an interview.
It is. Yes.
Okay, good. I did an interview last time where I assumed that the frame that they uploaded was the same frame that was on my screen, and it wasn't. And so many things ended up being out of frame. Anyways, keep these. Here we go. It's a tiny little piece of silver. Now, I know you can't see it. I have to stretch it out. Before my shows, I hang these in the air. Then I can reach out, stretch them out, and it appears like I just produced a coin out of nowhere, right? Which is great, because as a magician, it's really easy to take one of these, crush it, take the little pieces out, and hang these little pieces in the air, right? And if you do this with all the pieces, you break them down, or you take one coin, you break it into all these little pieces, and you hang them there. Within that one coin, you can gather a couple pieces, stretch those out, and you can get, a couple. Pretty cool. You can get a couple more even, So based off of that one coin and, reaching out, sorry, let's get back. Snatch those out of the air, but you get the point. Grab another one here. And there we go, that's the last one. But yeah, you can place this little piece of silver, hang them there, and gather them when you want.
It's absolutely beautiful.
All right, yeah, I actually lost track of my pattern halfway through because the coin slipped.
Well,
one thing that I'm struggling with the back stuff is it puts my whole nervous system on edge when I'm noticing I'm having issues with dexterity, which has been feels really
well, if it was to happen to anybody, magicians are probably the best ones for it to happen to, because we know how to rehabilitate that stuff.
No, it's true.
It's like Danny Garcia. I don't know if you met Danny or know about his. He burned his pinky so bad that doctor said he would never use it again. Do you know about this?
No, I never.
Oh, this was years ago. They're like, basically, yeah, sorry, your dreams of being a magician are over. You can't play the piccolo, because he had burned his pinky so bad that there's bad nerve damage in it, and he couldn't move it. And he worked so hard at just getting a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and now he's Danny Garcia. So
nice.
Yeah, it's there's something to be said for knowing how to work that stuff. So
yeah, discipline. Yeah,
insanity. There's a fine line.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, anyways, I wanted to show you guys that. So rather than just produce coins, you have some kind of silly story. And it's great that it's silly, because then the spectator knows, oh, he's not serious. He's clearly joking. And it's clearly not like an act. He's not trying to actually convince me that he breaks little pieces of silver and re-expands them. So they go, oh, so we're playing, we're imagining, right? And it's just through having a script like that, you're inviting them into suspending disbelief just a little bit, right? You don't want them to completely voluntarily suspend disbelief, because if they do that, it's not quite the same.
There's no challenge.
You're not freeing them of anything, right? This, you free them of their fixed beliefs of reality, but if they're not willing to suspend any disbelief, then you don't have that experience of wonder, right? So there's something about inviting them halfway and then pushing them over the ledge with your your clean technique and powerful moments. And the presentation, I think, is what invites them halfway, gets them imagining, your story with you, because they quickly realize the story's not legit. We're just imagining. They're like, oh, okay, so what are we imagining? Oh, that you could take a solid dollar and break the pieces off and stretch this. Oh, that's what it would look like, you know? Does that make sense? How you kind of invite them halfway into a world of imagination? Because simply what we're trying to do is get them to imagine the impossible. That not what magic is, to imagine the impossible. And it's one of the greatest gifts you can offer someone, because they can go out into their world and look at the world from a place of infinite possibility, rather than a cynical mind that's trying to figure out their world as if it's something that can be narrowed down to a single conceptual idea of what they think is going to happen or how they think they could gain control of their world. But they see each opportunity, each moment, as a profound, limitless possible outcome, you know? And I think magic gives you that felt sensation of that they could potentially take into their world and experience in that way. And, you know, I've seen that actually happens. I've had spectators say to me, that changed my week. Like, I just felt lighter. It felt, you know, more joyful. It felt like anything was possible. So there's something about just inviting them into imagining that has a huge impact, I think, on the lives of people. And that's why I'm so adamant on that quality of performing. I just think it's a much better gift than the creating psychosis in their head where they're just like, what is going on here? I don't really want to do that to people.
I know. I'm on board with you 100%. I have a strong aversion to freaking people's minds. That's as much as I'll. Hopefully the code made enough sense there. Okay. I think that uses the audience only to satisfy the magician's ego, and
exactly.
It's abusive. I think maybe you wouldn't go that far, but I would go that far and say that.
Well, we all have done that, and all magicians will do that at some point, because every single one of us got into this art form because we had a certain degree of insecurity. It takes a certain degree of insecurity to see an experience of wonder and go, I'm gonna possess that conceptually and then show it to people so that I can get praise. There's something a little off.
It's the impetus it's the seed.
But at the same time, it's beautiful in that we can walk the journey of starting from that place into slowly learning, how do I actually offer this as a gift from my spectators rather than a fulfillment of my own ego? And that's a lifelong path. Like I flip-flop back and forth. But I think it's important for us to acknowledge that we all kind of started from that place, and that's okay, and we should work on, you know, how do we really do this? What's the best way to offer?
Yeah. Well, and then, you know, I think there's a lot of life lessons just all the way through this whole thing. It's like, you know, well, there's that, you know, around the holidays, you always hear it's better to give than to receive, and all these kind of, you know, but there is a lot to that. I find that I'm much happier and that I enjoy my work more that when I'm doing things that make other people feel happy, you know, or give them some kind of gift that they can go out and then, as you so beautifully put it, make their week, you know? That I think is ultimately much more rewarding.
Absolutely. Because I mean, simply put, is if you constantly think you need to get something from people, oh, I want the praise, I want the satisfaction, that means you experience yourself as lacking that if you feel the need to gather that. Mm-hmm. It's a actually underlying sense of unworthiness. But if you're generous, you're actually coming from the place that, oh, I'm abundant and I have something to offer. It's a mindset you have about yourself. And that's why I think generosity brings us so much joy, is we align ourselves with the sense of, oh, I'm inherently worthy. I inherently have something to offer, whether it just be my mind, my life experiences, or this performance I created, or helping somebody, bag their groceries, or, some kind of task, whatever it may be, the sense that I'm not in need of things to fill some kind of hole. I actually can offer because I myself feel full. And, I think when we are generous, we find that, we've always been full. We always had so much to offer, and that the feeling that we lacked something was just a conditioned behavior. So I think it's powerful in that, it makes us feel really happy and joyful. But there's also actual studies that have shown, you can look into studies on reciprocity and how being generous actually brings you more wealth. Literally, it's been proven. And the guy who set out to, who proved it, actually set out to prove the opposite. He wanted to prove that being generous made you lose money, and he was quite shocked. There's definitely do some research. It's really fascinating, because when someone's kind to you, they're generous to you, you feel the need to be generous back, but usually twofold. And what happens is that becomes exponential really quickly.
Well, that's
which is why yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
If you guys ever do a jam session where you're jamming with a magician, you just offer ideas back and forth freely. You offer, they offer even more, you offer even more, and it goes back until it builds into this thing where you come up with something beautiful. I mean, there's so much, generosity is a magical thing. It brings immense joy in that it aligns ourselves with the sense of, I have this richness of life experience to offer, and that coming back is just, that richness just magnifies. I think generosity is one of the most magical things about the human mind. Anyway, sorry, rant over.
No, that's there's two people that came to mind, quotes that I like to remember and use often, and there's Benjamin Franklin, who said if you want a favor of somebody, lend them a book or ask them a favor if you want them, right? There's the whole reciprocity, so they'd feel so there's that. There's also there's Zig Ziglar, the whole if you can get everything you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want, right? So even if that is relief from whatever they're dealing with that day, and you give them a break, they're going to remember you. And if that works into helping, you shouldn't do it for your business, but if it helps your business, then okay.
Yeah. It also gets you out of scarcity mentality, which I mean, the scarcity mentality is a business killer. You miss too many opportunities because you're too afraid to extend yourself. Generosity is the action of continuously extending yourself. So yes, there's the quality of people give back, but it's also just the mindset itself aligns you to taking risk, and risk is necessary for reward. There's so many ways to look at it. I actually, it's funny, this topic came up so freely. I did a whole audio kind of program on generosity and how to apply it to, your practice of sleights, your performance of sleights, your, basically all magic related, but how it can actually make you more creative, how it can actually help your practice to have this mindset towards yourself, etc. And it'll get released eventually. It's this whole training on the mindset towards your practice, towards your creative process, towards your scripting, towards your performance, and towards even jamming with other magicians. And then it ends with me and these two friends of mine, Benji and Jacob, who run The Daily Magician. If you guys don't know The Daily Magician, go follow them on Instagram. They also have an amazing podcast with really amazing podcasts. Really go check them out. They had a woman on there recently who was literally talking about the actual scientific studies that have been done around psychological forces with cards. It was freaking cool. Anyways, me and those guys did this whole generosity thing, and then we ended with this spontaneous hour-long jam session. We're okay, based on these principles, we're going to create a routine together. And we actually came up with this awesome thing. So anyways, I didn't mean to plug something, but I thought this came up, and that's going to be available someday. So
I hope you'll tell me what it is.
I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, we'll definitely make sure people know about it.
Yeah. It was a really fun thing because it was just a really different approach to looking at magic. Magic's always here's a move, here's another move, and here's another move. And it's just there's so much more to moves, and it's you know, I personally want to see the younger generation really succeed, and a lot of the younger generation spend so much time in video, and you don't see as much theory and understanding of, you know, misdirection and all of these principles, tension, relaxation, timing, pacing, etc.
There's no time for that in 15 seconds, you know. There's no
Yeah.
time for pacing or pregnant pauses or any of that kind of stuff.
Right,
On
when you're
TikTok.
doing it on social media.
Yeah. Next, swipe up, you know, or whatever. Yeah.
No, it's funny, it's true. But yeah, which is why I've been trying to emphasize this stuff more, and hopefully, you know, we continue to emphasize that more in this community, because it's really needed to understand this art form and how to best perform it, so that we offer people that richness and a state of wonder. Anyways, let's hear some more questions.
Yes, sir. I have one from. Let's see. I had it, and then of course the chat scrolls all the way up. Earlier we heard from Allie Morgan. They said that MODUS was the download that they ended up getting, and they also said that they grew up with Jeff McBride in New York, and the coin moves that are in MODUS actually are already fit with the muscle memory that they learned. So
Nice.
and they're like, yay. There was one about, let's see, I think it was Skelly. Skelly had asked, ask Danny. So Danny, have you ever been in such a big roadblock in your career that you had to step down for a while?
Yeah, I did for 2 years. I stepped out of magic, actually. Yeah.
Care to elucidate?
I got to a point where I couldn't handle my own ego. I couldn't handle how much it was about me. And
wow.
And I was just like, man, I keep trying to approach magic from this place of like care about the spectator, but I keep catching myself really making it about myself too much. And I was so disgusted with myself that I decided to take a break from it. I just felt like it wasn't good for me. I felt like I was just becoming a more egotistical person. And so I took a couple of years off, and then I came back and realized that didn't help. And, and I was like, oh, look at this. It's starting off right where I left off.
Oh,
and
man.
I found, oh, you know what? What is this? You know, it wasn't until I looked at it and I realized, like, I feel unworthy. And that's why I, you know, constantly making it about me. And I was only making that unworthiness more by telling myself, Danny, that behavior is disgusting. Stop doing that. Now, how am I supposed to find worthiness when I'm constantly telling myself I'm disgusting?
It's going to be pretty hard.
Yeah, so I had to change my mindset. I go, okay, so here's this egotistical part of me. Danny, I'm here. I'm listening to you, man. You know, I had to like take that approach with myself of like, why do you feel unworthy? What do you think you don't have something to offer? And just change that mindset. But I had to be the mindset I wanted to be towards the part of myself that wasn't that way. That was the only way to actually start making that change. Otherwise, I was just enacting the same, you know, egotistical habits towards my ego and making the whole thing worse. If I wanted to be kinder, be more generous, be more about another person's joy, then I had to be open enough to hear this other part of me and why I was so egotistical without all the judgment, you know? So it's, that was an interesting time for me. That was a really fascinating time. But yeah, I stepped away for that reason.
Okay, well, wow, that speaks to your thoughtfulness, though. That's something that that really reads through in your work and also in the conversations we've had on Instagram and here now, as there's a lot of introspection.
Yeah, there's a theme here, I think.
Yeah, it's really interesting for me. Because I mean, this is what it's about, man. This is the deeper stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for me, it's about so, and I think it's great when it's. I think for a lot of us, the more we look at this side of it, the more we can be better performers. I mean, I try to introduce it as much as I can, and I'm still doing the work. You know, I have an ego, and I still make it about myself from time to time. And yeah, it's just kind of a process of being aware and not beating myself up for my downfalls, and just continuing to try to, I don't know, live with integrity, perform with integrity, create with integrity. And why am I doing this?
Well, it seems like you have to accept your own humanity is kind of what it sounds like.
And that's what it comes down to. It's about sharing a human experience, not some godly experience that is beyond our confusion. It's this, hey, look, I see your confusion. I have confusion. Hey, look, we also experience wonder, and it's like allowing it all to be there. And then we can experience a state of wonder towards our confusion, and there's no greater transformation than that. So.
Why am I confused?
Yeah.
I wonder if that has to. I mean, I think that I know it has something to do with your popularity. Is how your generous and calm and relaxed nature. I think people are drawn to you. In watching MODUS, I just like everything is. It's like you're not in a rush to get the video over. You're not like taking a long time, but you're not in a rush to get it over. It's like each segment feels like it's like you're there with me, and you want to make sure I get it.
Nice.
And so there's a really nice pacing. It feels like you're watching something your friend made for you. And so that's I think that's true in a lot of the work that I've seen of yours, and I think that is part of your popularity there, because it's like, wow, okay, he's not just trying to flash some kind of ego thing. There's a we all have ego, but that's you can't not have ego though. I mean,
I mean,
it's a fundamental part of your existence, right? But
right. I think you can't completely rid yourself of it, because I mean, that's an egoic desire in itself, but.
Oh no, chicken and the egg.
I appreciate that. I don't often see. I can't see how I come off, and I tend to, being a self-critical person, I don't tend to see those sides. So it's nice to have that reflected, and I'm glad it comes off that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, none of us really know how we come off to anyone else, right? And there are those times whenever I go to bed where I'm like, oh my gosh, did they take that the way that I feared that they took it, or did it come off as how I genuinely meant it? Or I'm always worried about that, and that's something as a father that I'm constantly worried about too. If I say something to my son, or to my daughter's only 10 months old, but my son's about to be 4, and he's got a simpler version of events that happen, right? There's a much more veneered narrative that he has of all the looks that mom and dad give each other, or the inflection of my voice, or what I say. If I say something sarcastically or in jest, he takes everything I say literal, absolutely literally, like it's the truth. And so sarcasm, I admit this, maybe I'm a bad father, but I've made him cry when I was trying to make him laugh, like I was telling him a joke, and he thought I was serious about something. It was it's like, oh yeah, that means I guess we'll have to sell all your toys or something, like it was just like, but it was meant completely funny. I'm not going to sell all his toys, no, we'll do that. But he was like, oh, you gotta, right, and so that's where I learned that just because I know, and we talked about that earlier, the model, your own model for the world, that's clearly not true, right? That not everybody experiences reality the same way that you do.
Yeah. And I think we all also have a part of ourselves that has that, we still carry that, the child in us, the part of us that is, even when someone's sarcastic with us, when you go, oh, how funny, there's a part of us that feels a little bit of pain still, even as adults, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but you have to, and then you have that layer of, oh well, they don't mean it to hurt my feelings, but it still did kind of
Right,
hurt my
right, right.
feelings. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I
But
wonder how
yeah,
that.
it's trickier with kids, right? But that's what a beautiful experience. I mean to work with. I don't have a child yet. Maybe will at some point, not sure. But yeah, just imagine working with this little sensitive being and be really insightful into just how to be more sensitive towards ourselves and others, and a way where we take into consideration more the experience and feelings of others. I think that's really needed in our world. And it seems like having a kid can really be a powerful way to practice that.
It sure is. It's taught me a lot about, well, how I'm perceived by others, or a lot more empathy and patience than I've ever had before in my life, because you have to.
Yeah. But the patience part's a big,
Oh,
yeah, that's probably a big part of it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and I look at him sometimes and I go, why aren't you better mannered? And I was like, oh, because he's still learning manners. Like, I expect more of him than he can actually give me, and that's,
Mhm.
I think it's good to have. I'm sorry, this is becoming a thing about child rearing, but but I think but a lot of these things relate, right? As far as being empathic
Uh-huh.
towards another
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
um, you know, so there are things that he is incapable of giving me. I have expectations for him that, of course I would like him to grow into, but I have to meter those expectations based on where he is and who he is, and accept him for who he is, and not get frustrated because he doesn't already know the thing that I expect him to know, because he can't. So it's a I don't know, it's a little bit of a loop that it's its own problem, so um and I'm talking way too
Yeah.
much, but
No, no, that's good. That's good.
but it has forced me to really think more about how he sees things from his perspective, because as far as he knows, everything that I say and do is the only correct way to do things, right? So
Hmm.
what a responsibility.
Yeah.
How much do I owe you? I feel better now. Uh,
Nice.
Take two of these and
Uh,
call me in the morning. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
no, it's good. It's good. I appreciate hearing it. It's really, yeah, it's helpful to hear. Just, I mean, one in that, like, I hope to have kids someday, but I also hear it, and I think about the part of myself that I get frustrated with is the wounded childlike part of myself, and it's like I think this all applies to how we relate to our own mind as well.
Yeah.
Actually, just read an amazing book recently. I don't know if you guys heard Internal Family Systems. IFS. This book is called "You Are the One You've Been Waiting For," and it's just so
Hmm.
good. It's the best thing I've ever found in terms of just understanding how to work with our like our trauma and our pain, and so relational dynamics, whether it be with a partner or with anybody. And
Hmm.
it's just been really amazing for me. But yeah, so it's hard for me to hear this and not, I'm like filtering it through that. And but yeah, the whole thing's amazing. Human relationship as a means to grow, is to wake up and to have deeper human relationships. And this amazing feedback loop. Anyways, I'm sure there's a lot of questions that
Oh yeah.
out
But a lot of them are getting
there.
like, I don't know. There's oh, okay. I'm sorry. I guess there's a troll in the comments. We had to have a moderator
Oh.
do something about that. So sorry. I have to go through a bunch of deleted messages. Sorry. That always happens. Can't get away from it. Um, for Danny, okay. Skelly says, I would say that it's better to take a point in your career to reflect on what you were doing and check if you want to keep doing that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's related back to your conversation about the 2 years they took out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good thing to do. You know, it's funny. I was like, I don't want to do this. And that was at the where I came to it. I was like, I don't want to do this. This community is full of crazy people.
It always will be.
Everyone's at each other's throats all the time in these Facebook groups. Everyone's so judgmental about each other. And then I was just like, I just want to go teach meditation and have like this meaningful life. And so then I got focused on, teaching meditation, teaching retreats and stuff like that. And I noticed how judgmental I found myself being towards others, and realized, I'm judgmental towards myself. That's why I'm judgmental to others. And, all those magicians, I'm just them and they're just me. We're all doing the same thing. And I'm like, I can't escape this, actually. This isn't a them thing. This is a me thing. And I was like, okay, time to go back to magic, just from a different angle. But even then, I think we do have to take a step back. But do we want to be doing this? And sometimes you don't really have a choice. Your problems follow you. They weren't really about anyone else in the first place.
Yeah. Well, there's an important lesson in there, right?
Yeah. Is there a magic question? Is there any...
existentialism. Let's. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm having. So not everybody's using the the Magic Minute tag, so I'm having to go through just regular. Let's see. Oh yes, I should be grabbing these, but I'm also trying to make sure I'm staying engaged and talking with you. It would be helpful. I had another person here with me to help take questions, but it's just me. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a question here about what's Justice Fowler asks, what has been your best source for finding good quality coins for sleight of hand? Where do you get your coins from?
Yeah, so I love Morgans, right? I like them soft. These are super worn down. Let's see if I can get that. I can kind of get that in there. They're super worn down, and so they're soft Morgans, or coin collectors refer to them as Cull coins, Cull coins, like culling a card actually. But eBay's a good one, like ebay.com, and do it that way. But you can actually find sites where these guys just sell them like that. I found a site, I think it's called like Phoenix Gold Corp or something, and they sell 1921 Morgans for like $25 a piece.
That's cheap.
And they're already worn down, and I mean it's a good deal. If you get on eBay every once in a while and keep your eyes open, you can often find like 5 Morgans for $100, and that's really good. But something I want to say on that topic is everyone goes, "Oh man, that's, Alec goes, that's cheap," but most people go, "Oh, that's a lot for coins, $100 for a set of Morgans."
No, that's cheap.
How much? Yeah, it really is. This is. Do you understand what this is? This is silver. Like, this will always be valuable. Like, you can cash this back in at any point.
100%.
I could cut it into pieces and still cash it back in for what it's worth. Like, it's, this is precious metal. You don't have to worry about it. I mean, this is money, Yeah. You don't, like, go to ask for change. It's like, say, hey, I have 4 quarters. Can I get $1 in exchange? You go, you get your $1 and go, I can't believe I just lost those 4 quarters. You don't, it's the same thing. This is, profoundly valuable, and the price goes up sometimes. Sometimes it's you get even more for what you pay for, but even beyond that, you have spent far more money on these as a magician than you ever will on these, because you buy these once.
I'm waiting for the flame war to start happening in the comments, Danny.
I mean,
but he's right. Yeah.
When I was performing regularly, I like a worn out deck of cards, right? So I like my deck really worn, and even still, I was switching out my deck once a week, because I was out doing shows and doing things all the time. So it's 4 decks a month. Like
Cool, man, I got you
can
beat,
pull out a
Danny.
calculator if you want to figure out how much that costs after a year. But like, it's nowhere near what this is. You know, you'll have these for the rest of your life.
And they maintain their value.
Yeah, and they maintain their value, and sometimes the value goes up. Actually, just recently it did. I don't know if you guys saw that. Morgan silver went from like $23 an ounce to like $34 an ounce or
Wow,
something.
there you go.
Yeah, it went up for a minute. So I wasn't about to cash mine in for, like what?
No, yeah. They're more valuable to you as something to make money with, right? A tool. But that's I have some things I want to add onto that too, because a place that I used to go to get coins, because I would get Morgans, or my favorite is actually the peace dollar. I like the history behind the peace dollar. So for symbolic reasons, they're beautiful. It's the only American coin with the eagle at rest, and it symbolizes or commemorates the signing of the Treaty of Versailles.
Oh,
and so it's kind of like he's at rest. He's kind of like, that's cool. I'm done. All right, we're gonna stop fighting now, and so that's the only time.
That makes me want peace dollars.
Hey, that's right. It's cool. They're my favorite.
That's really cool. And my only hesitation around them was that, like, I love soft coins, right? Because you guys saw me do some of that Kainoa stuff earlier. When you like
super sharp
doing this kind of stuff, and you need to put multiple coins into mask a palm with as silent as possible. That takes work, and like it takes a lot less work if you use soft coins. So I can't recommend enough how much you should be using soft Morgan dollars if you want to get into stack work. But with peace dollars, like these have that thick rim on it, and that with the face, it's all level. They are just, I mean, you can almost not hear them at all. They're so quiet. But yeah, the shape of peace dollars, I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe they're not quite as quiet, but I still, just from looking at them,
they're very angular. Yeah, very Art Deco. So you do have a lot of sharp edges.
Yeah. That was my only thing with them. But I might try them out, because I've seen some peace dollars that people make like super soft. And I wonder how much if they make a little less noise, because I've gotten good enough now that like I can use like these like
the opposite of ASMR or whatever that is.
Yeah, and even this like tiger tan coin, like all of these coins are not quiet. Here, I'll use another one of those. So these are
jingle bells, jingle bells,
loud coins, and yet with practice you can even. Yeah, my fingers lately. With practice, you can even do these really silently, and that's it there. Loading a coin to stack. I won't talk over it this time here.
Beautiful.
So it's doable to get those in stack pretty quietly. So yeah, maybe I'll have to try some peace dollars. Cool.
Beautiful. I want to add something to that for Justice too. Was a place that I picked them up is from just like We Buy Gold stores, because they have them. I mean, they'll sell them just as bulk
coin
silver.
Coin shops are the best actually. And you go but you have to ask to see they're like the only reason I didn't mention that is for a pandemic, but you might still be able to find one that is open right now. Ask for their junk silver. Usually they have like a friggin' cardboard box, like under the glass displays of these Morgan dollars that they would never put out. And you get those. You want those anyways because they're quieter. And yeah, you'll get them for the cost of silver. They won't charge you at all.
Yeah, there you go. If you're not using them. I think the worst thing, at least for me, it feels like if I got like a set that's in the cardboard with the plastic on it, or it's in a commemorative set, or it's in really good condition, like I don't want to open those because they have value beyond the silver at that point for historical value. But if they're just about manipulating and you want them as soft as possible, get the junk coins. Just pay it once and have them.
Yeah. And they still look nice. I like the way they look all worn out still. I think they're still really pretty, you know.
Yeah, no, they're beautiful. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I want to point out that if you start using, some peace dollars, I'm going to take credit for that.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, though. They're beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you guys prefer halves, barber halves are much quieter than
Standing
walking
liberties.
because liberties and Kennedys, they have this thinner rim, so it catches. Whereas the barber halves have like the thicker rim, like the Morgans do, with that recessed part, or that what's opposite of recessed?
Oh,
I want to say concave, but that doesn't feel like that.
no,
Right?
there's emboss and deboss. That's the words I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's kind of work. But anyways, it's a little thicker. The barber halves are like the best if you want like half dollars that are soft. Barbers are fantastic for that. You know, I know it does a lot of work with barbers for that reason.
That's fabulous. Actually, I didn't even know that, so I'm gonna I'm gonna have to get some barbers.
Yeah.
I've
They're
got
great. And the thing with some of those old silver coins, you could lose some of the milling on them. And that's okay. I don't think it matters as much, honestly. Silver grips your skin better than clad coins do, just because it's the most conductive metal, and that helps significantly. But like, if you need some extra grip in the beginning, take some violin rosin and rub it on the edges of your coins. It's like magic.
Cool. And something I also wanted to mention too, something that's cool about silver over like a nickel copper alloy is that they tend to make a much more pretty sound, especially whenever you do like the fingertip ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped talking because I wanted you to hear it. It's beautiful. It just sings.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. I mean, especially if you like me, you love click passes. When you do click passes with that's another reason to use dollars for click passes alone. And like, it's not the. I mean, you could get them with halves,
But you don't get the chunk.
Yeah, they have to be listening, like the spectators have to be listening. With this, it's like, number 9 and get the smack. With this, it doesn't matter if they're, they're going to hear that. So I like that aspect of it too.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I think we're pretty much coming towards the end here. I went through and found all the questions. If we have any more questions before we let them Danny go. He's already been very generous with his time. Give us about an extra half an hour.
Yeah, but yeah, do ask your questions, especially if you asked and somehow we missed it. Just send it again.
Please do.
And,
this is the time.
Yeah, we'll give you guys a couple minutes and before we decide to sign off. But
Wonderful. So while we're waiting for anything else to come through, I just want to say thank you again for coming on. And also let everybody know if you're staying here the whole time, you enjoy Danny's work. If you haven't picked up one of his effects yet or one of his videos yet, you should definitely go do that. There's links in the description for you can go to his Gumroad.
There's even a free vanish on my
the double take
Gumroad. Yeah, go check that out.
If you
go to my Gumroad, make sure you read the description put the promo code in the description.
All right, because it says like $5, but if you use the promo code,
yeah, but you don't have to pay $5. Yeah, you get it for free.
Yeah, so go check out his work, support him, and Danny, thank you so much for taking the time and answering all our questions. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's fun. I like these kind of stuff, talking and shooting the.
I do too. Well, you can tell we started talking about all kinds of other stuff. Like, it relates back to magic, but more grandiose themes.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're artists, right? And artists is about expressing life. Right, so it's like it all comes together. Anything we're passionate about that can be a part of our presentation. That we can, magic's a medium. It's not actually. Well, yeah, it's the tool. It expresses a quality of life. It's not what's supposed to take center stage necessarily.
It's not in and of itself.
Yeah.
You like that?
I still haven't watched that. I need to see it. Was it
Oh,
really good?
it's good. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I bet. I have it saved because I was gonna watch it the other day, but I'm like, this is the latest I'm ever up. I'm actually surprised I'm like awake right now. I'm an old man these days. I go to sleep at like 8 p.m.
Man, me too. Except for Fridays,
Yeah.
I'm in bed at like 8 o'clock. I'm right after my kids go to bed. I'm like, I'm done. I rage quit the day by going to sleep. It's like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't help it. I just like got into my 30s and I just spontaneously started waking up earlier. I was just like, I remember the first time it happened. I was like, what time is it? Why am I so awake right now? The sun hasn't even come up.
Can I ask how old you are? Do you mind my asking that?
Oh yeah, I'm just 32.
Okay, I'm 33. So yeah, we're doing with the same stuff.
Yeah. But then it kept happening to me. I was just like, I was just wake up wide awake. I'm like,
it's 4 a.m. What's going on?
Yeah, it's like I'm not that early yet, but like it's like usually like 5:30, and I'm just like, and I'm awake, and I'm like, okay. So now of course I go to sleep at like 8 p.m. I'm out because otherwise, I mean.
Yeah, man. It's part of it. Well, Matlock's on it too, and there's dinner right afterwards. Go to bed about 3:34.
Yeah. I like the waking up early. It's really nice actually. Yeah, I found to my surprise, I was more productive in the mornings, which was interesting. I bet too, as like as a dad, you might get a little bit more peace in that first like hour, 2 hours before they wake up.
Yeah, I have to decide. Like on Fridays, like am I like because I do the streams every Friday at 9 p.m. But then it's like, do I stay up late and maybe like watch a movie with my wife, or do I maybe play a video game because I've got time to do that? Because there's a very small window of me time, and I either get it at night or early in the morning. So I have to decide, gotta play it. Yeah. Decide I'm going to get it on, because I think you need that. I think you need to be a person and to have the reserves and to recharge your own batteries and
absolutely.
Deal with the day.
A friend of mine, he was getting up every day at like 4 a.m. just so he can get 3 hours of me time before his wife and kids got up.
You need that.
Practice of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, at first it was difficult, but he goes, then I loved it. It's like, he goes, I love it. And he was telling me how he found if he was eating healthy and he was doing his yoga practice regularly, and that he found he didn't need as much sleep as he thought he did. He was like, going to sleep at like 8 p.m., waking up at 4 a.m. and feeling great, Then
keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's technically 8 hours, actually.
Yeah, it's surprising. You go to bed. You can, I can get away with about maybe 5 or 6 hours, and be good and ready for the day. So, I have another question here. There's a bunch of arrows pointing up to it. So, it was the question is from Brad Newman. He says, "How does one weather silver?"
How do you wear it down? Yeah,
I assume that's the question there.
So if you want to soften your coins, which I've done, I've taken mint Morgan dollars and softened them.
Danny.
But 250 grit sandpaper works pretty well. If you can get something higher, it'd probably be even better, honestly. Another thing that I've used on the fly, this might not be the absolute best way to do it, but it's what I do, and I'm happy with it. So, but either 250 grit sandpaper or, no joke, polished concrete. Like, some basements have like not just concrete floors, but like polished concrete floors that are like smooth. That I found was actually really good for sending my coins down.
How's it sound though?
It doesn't sound like much, actually.
No.
Kind of sounds like that. Yeah, it's
that's not
concrete.
Yeah.
It's smooth concrete, right? It's that polished concrete. So, and you want to go in like a figure 8 pattern, and you want to make sure you have even pressure on that coin. You don't want to like keep checking every once in a while. Make sure you're not like sanding one side more than the other. I have some coins like that. I have some of my everyday coins that I use are like that. Oddly enough.
Do you have like a performance set and a practice set?
No,
No,
all my
same set.
coins are they're horribly beat up and they're just not that nice.
They just
I have
are.
someone making me a shell set. So, and when you get a shell set, they make you a shell, but then they $4 that fit well with that shell.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably destroy those two though.
Oh, I have another question for you too, which is from Benjamin Benson, and they say you have been constantly manipulating coins amazingly while talking the whole time. How long did it take you to develop that kind of muscle memory?
Yeah, 10,000 hours.
Ten, that's how long it takes to achieve greatness, right? At least.
Yeah, I actually hit some point in the last year where I felt a significant difference in the way my fingers work. And I don't know, and I could be entirely wrong about this, but I thought, I must have hit the 10,000 hour mark. They say that's when you like attain like a mastery in something, and not to say that I don't like mess up and sometimes, and I don't think mastery necessarily means perfection. I guess for me, in this sense, it means this quality of like effortlessness or finesse around handling things where it can really just happen second nature. I even got to this weird point that when I want to learn a new move, someone shows me a move, I can learn it rapidly now. I learn new coin sleights insanely fast. But that came about through years of practice and specifically through the practices that I taught in MODUS. Understanding impulse interruption in terms of breaking down old muscle memory. That's essential. Your brain is extremely good at creating new habits. There's no reason why your fingers shouldn't be able to move exactly as you want them to. The only reason they don't is that they're conditioned to move in all these other ways. You have like a set repertoire of movements that you've conditioned. And you have to learn how to actually kind of break those down so that your fingers have more freedom. And it doesn't mean you break them down entirely. It's more so that those neuron networks or those habits are not linked to all your other movements. And that happens over time. It actually happens over time by using the methods I talked about in MODUS of practicing slowly, noticing habitual tendencies, interrupting those patterns, and then applying the good habit. And by doing that, often you get out of all these habitual ways and you discover that your brain's actually and the muscles in your hands simultaneously are really good at learning things when those habitual tendencies are out of the way. But we've spent so much of our lives doing this, and all our fingers want to move together. That's a conditioning. The fingers want to move together. So how do you develop finger independency when you're constantly conditioning this thing? So you have to get really good at pattern interrupting. And oddly enough, by creating that habit, a habit of being really good at interrupting habits or the impulses that arise, you discover this weird kind of freedom of movement that comes about. It's been a really interesting discovery for me. It's also why I wanted to teach that in MODUS. So, yeah.
And it's one of my favorite things you talk about on the whole the whole project.
Yeah.
Like it's like this is everybody wants to talk about what's the real work or whatever. Like there's if you just listen to that one single piece of advice, your magic is, or at least the dexterity part of your magic is going to improve super quickly in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, actually, the retention, but like I said, I'm still always growing. Like my retention manage changes all the time. I feel like I'm always kind of improving this move. How do I really make it look like it's going into that hand where it looks like you're seeing it in that hand, even as the hand is over here. So that's something I'm always playing around with this. But it's like, how much can I get that light to really linger there?
That's beautiful. So, would you be comfortable talking a little bit about something else I really liked on the project was just the observation of different ways to in air quotes hold a coin in your fist, or not, right? If you're going to keep your hand relaxed, yeah.
So let's see if I can...
because I think that's
it's one of the things
an incredible thing for me.
well, mix a couple things. This is also using something from Homage, but this is one of those Morgans that's sanded way too much on one side there. But here, there we go. So
on MODUS, guys, by the way.
Well, actually, part of it is that the retention I'm doing here is the CB retention from Homage. But yeah, I think in MODUS I do the same thing, but I do it this way.
That way,
between,
yes.
These two fingers, and I place it down like that, and then I take the Sharpie and do the whole tap thing there. But so that's the way it's on MODUS. But yeah. Why did I bring?
I wanted to ask you about that observation.
Subtlety of
beautiful
of this. It has this quality of like you're not, trying to hide the fact that you don't have a coin, right? Yeah. And Alan, as you know, with kids, when someone comes up to you like this, you're immediately suspicious, right?
Well, with kids, yeah. What is it? I don't want to know where he got whatever is in his hand.
But that's a condition. That's an associative response that is always there when you see this. Your brain associates that with this gesture. So this inherently invokes suspicion in people.
It does.
It's also like if you were really holding a coin, you wouldn't do it like this. Nope. You hold it like this. You only do it this way if you're trying to hide the fact that you don't have a coin, right? So
which is a tell, right?
Yeah, which is a tell. So yeah, this like very subtle kind of quality. And you just whatever retention you're doing, even if you're hearing, you'd be hearing.
Golly, yeah. See, like when I saw you do that, because I've never seen before you. I've never seen anybody do it that way. And when I watched it, it's so convincing that like in that moment I decided that's the best way. Like that is the way I'm doing it from now on. Like it's the way it needs to be done. I don't know why it only took, at least 20,000 or 2,000 years or something to get there. I don't know how old magic is, maybe 10,000 years or something. So
it's actually a magician, Cameron Braxton, who showed me that idea.
Okay.
Slightly open hand. And then I just took it and ran with it and said, how much? And I was like, he was doing this. He was cupping it like this. And I was like, can we
just
I was like, yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's
it's so convincing though. It really is. Like I know what's happening. It's one of those things where I can't reconcile it within my own mind, right? Because it's just like it's in his hand.
Yeah, and I like I'll use it this way often, just like the classic.
Oh my gosh!
Palm,
yeah.
Vanish. First of all, just a little tip. This is such a great way to do this. Is to not push it in with the fingers. If you can get good at just doing that, it's really a great thing to be able to land it in classic palm position. But yeah, and then just keep the movement going in that hand and leave it open for a moment. It gives that. It's just a nice little feel.
Wow, it's good. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. I don't know if that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Mr. Fisher Mooser wants to know if you
questions
have
are rolling in again.
Yeah, I'll tell you. they all stop whenever I'm talking. They're all falling asleep with the keyboard until you start back up, and then they all come to life. They want to know if you have Mr. Fisher Mooser, which is a longtime subscriber of the channel. Said curious to know if Danny has any different hand exercises. I think that's an interesting question. Oh yeah. Ooh.
That's not one I actually do, but I like it.
It's looking. Yeah. I do that. I do that with my thumbs towards the ceiling, and I pretend it's a fish.
Oh, nice.
My kids like it. I can't do that.
That's not what you mean?
No, with the fingers, but the thumbs towards the ceiling, so that you get like the swimming.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a weird thing. Stretch your fingers. Stretching your fingers regularly. I can't recommend it enough. Get some space in between there. go do it that way. Also practice like reach down with these two fingers. See how my second finger wants to come down?
Mm-hmm.
Push that up. Stretch out the tendons in between. When you're trying to create finger independency, it's a big thing. Stretch out the tendons between these fingers. That's something I can't recommend enough. Another weird one I always work on is moving fingers side to side. Like I'll try to do it with my second finger, you know, and then I'll try to do it with my ring finger. Oh God, I need to practice that more. But I work on that side to side movement because it helps you close your windows and it helps you grip coins better between your fingers and all of these palms. It's something I highly recommend. There's all of this stuff for finger independency. You guys probably seen that.
Dan and Dave.
But yeah, stretch. Yeah, stretch. This thing where you squeeze, you hold, make a fist for 30 seconds, then you open for 30 seconds, you go back and forth, and then you do it this way. You squeeze like this. This is a good one to do because if you can't touch your fingers in like this, you should work on that. That means that's another piece of flexibility you can do. You should be able to collapse your fingers like this.
Just a tiger claw
so
pose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or qigong. I actually learned that in qigong, but yeah. But that and then opening. So squeeze for 30 seconds and then open. It's just strengthen those tendons. But yeah, stretch. I can't recommend that enough. And you know, just practice. Because I work with coins a lot. Just play around. Sometimes I come up with weird drills. It's doing this thing for a while. So
man,
this is fun. And sometimes I just come up with all kinds of weird drills, and I'll just do them over and over and over again. Actually, also I taught a whole drills thing in my homage project too, so that's got a whole drill sequence of moving through palms. That one helped me a lot. It was a thing I just discovered one day. It was like, oh, here's a circular pattern you can go in to go from curl palm to JW to thumb palm to masqué back to curl and loop around over and over and over again. It became this like fidget move I would just do all the time.
But it helped.
Yeah. Yeah, and then just like, spend the time on whatever the one thing is. Especially for like all the masqué work, I spent so much time just putting a stack of coins in there, producing them one at a time, and then doing our tensions with them one at a time, and just doing this over and over and over again. Oh, slipped. And doing this over and over and over again, and then when I got really good at that, I'd produce multiple coins into the fan, from masqué, and then add them back into the fan from masqué, and practice doing that. And so give yourself drills to work on. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Drills.
We have another one from I'll read this to you. Benjamin Benson said, "You are a veritable guru of magic. I'm thrilled by your philosophy towards magic and also in general color me impressed." So I'm just sharing that. Not so much a question, but a comment. Yeah. So
thank you.
And then
it's a questionable comment.
Kidding. Somebody's been watching the Gregory Wilson videos, a questionable trick. A trick question, a questionable trick. They also have a question, actual question from Brad Newman, which is, what were your thoughts on cylinder in coins?
Yeah, I love cylinder in coins. I still haven't created a routine of it that I like. I don't know why. I don't know why I like it. I think it's a weird thing. What the hell is this? Why do you have a cylinder? It's a
leather hat. It's a little hat.
How do you motivate that? Yeah, it's an elf hat. It's totally kind of absurd. I just remembered why I love it, and you should go look this magician up. His name's Chris Hannibal, and he does the best one I've ever seen. And it's not because of the moves; it's because of the presentation. And it's called Silver Memories by Chris Hannibal. And his tube is, you guys remember those old ice cream push pops? You push it up through the tube.
Yeah,
he uses one of those as the tube. And he has this beautiful story about it, about his childhood and all of this. So he motivated that tube. He gave it proper motivation and tied it into all of this. And it just made it so strong, so strong. And I was like, man, if I can come up with something like that, then I'll do cylinder and coins. And until then, though, I don't know what direction to go with it. I thought about doing like a toilet paper cylinder and coins. I was like, because with the pandemic and stuff, it's like just that's gold.
I'm rich.
Like storytelling, right? Yeah, it's like okay, right, exactly. Money and toilet paper rolls is just
in the before times. People wiped themselves with this.
Yeah, but a toilet paper roll is not the right diameter. It's too big. I thought about like making my own toilet paper roll.
You can do that. Yeah.
That was like the right diameter, and doing the whole routine. I might still. That'd be kind of funny.
You could look. Yeah. There's oh gosh, what am I thinking of? You should look at perhaps, I don't know for sure, but like the rolls that like plastic wrap or aluminum foil comes on. I think those are a different diameter, so you might want to check those.
Yeah, and then maybe take one of those and just wrap some toilet paper around it.
Yeah, that might work. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't tend to do like. Oh, that's not true. I was gonna say I don't tend to do funny routines. I actually have one recently that's kind of funny, but it's also kind of dark. Well, you guys want to see it?
Yeah, I would love to see it.
I don't show this to anybody. Okay. This is. Oh man. All right. Let's do it. Okay. Let's see. Make sure I frame well for this.
And then while you're setting that up too, I'll ask you another question. Justice Fowler wants to know what is the most convincingly natural coin palm?
It depends on the context. Naturalness depends on context. That's one of the most important things when it comes to naturalness. If I were to take a coin and I did this, I said, here, watch. You'd say that was kind of an unnatural movement. If I said, this is a coin from 1879, it's actually really fragile. You think of metal as solid, but no, this thing could, turn to dust at our fingertips. Like literally, we want to be really careful with this. It's not something you would want to squeeze. You get my point. It's you could take something, and depending on the context of the narrative, all of that becomes natural, right? It's unnatural to hold we talked about this, holding a coin like this, right? But if I was talking about crushing it, now it's natural, right? So it's naturalness based off of context, as long as it's properly motivated.
Motivation.
Okay, so this is a little bit darker routine. I'll tell you guys the story afterwards. Okay. I do this in a southern accent. I'll tell you why.
I'm supposed to have. Shut up.
Howdy, y'all. Thank you all for being here. This is Bubba, and Bubba's a real old coin. Bubba. Yeah, see, Bubba don't vanish no more. Unfortunately, Bubba's old. He can't vanish no more, and I can't afford the medical bills to fix the situation, so we got to put him down. And I appreciate you all being here. With Bubba today is all Bubba's friends, and they are gonna be here by Bubba's side in his final moments. Okay. Well, make sure this thing works. All right, it works. Thank you all for being here. Bubba, you will be loved. Oh shit. I'm sorry, everyone. I had no idea that was going to be so graphic. Thank you to all Bubba's friends for being here, and thank you to all of you for being here. And Bubba, you rest in peace now.
I had to mute myself because I was laughing. That is dark, but also hilarious. There is no humor without suffering, right? So
yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments. AMS
says, I love it.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha, that's awesome.
The story behind this is actually I took care of horses in Georgia, and one of my favorite horses broke his leg, and we had to put him down.
Ah, man.
I came up one day, and I was like, let's make a routine about it. So let's make it into a comedic routine, so I have some way to deal with my trauma.
That's a healthy way to deal with that.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
But yeah, and it's just like a weird way of like kind of poking fun of this weird Southern
thing.
Shoot animals in the head with your gun because you can't afford their medical bills.
That's kind of a. I mean, I'm in Texas. That's kind of a. I won't speak for all Texans. I'm a transplant from Michigan, but yeah.
Why did I bring that up? Oh, because you were talking about humor. I was like, oh yeah, I don't know what the humor thing is, humorous thing. But I thought, so I could do a toilet paper roll thing. There's so much to do.
You should.
In terms of like, oh man, I'm trying to think how to phrase this. But the riches of 2020 toilet paper. This thing. I held on to this because I knew one day it'd be worth a bunch of money, right? And then you have all your silver dollars. So you're like, there's just so much we can go.
How much would you pay me for this right now?
What would you use instead of the cork? You can use like a little piece of poop, like a little tiny poop emoji or something.
That would be hilarious, actually. I would.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Or a little something like a 3D printed like COVID virus or something.
Oh, you could do. Well, heck, there's that effect out there, the tiny plunger. Yeah. You could add that in there. Yeah, there's a little something there.
I don't know if that would fit under a Ramsey's.
I don't know. It depends on yeah.
But anyways, guys, do go check out. Like seriously, just go look up on YouTube. Silver Memories by Chris Hannibal. Like you'll love it. It's just so good, so good. Yeah.
Can I ask you one more question? Then we call it.
Absolutely. I'm down to do questions as long as there's still questions, and you can close whenever you want to close. I'm awake now. It's like when you go past your bedtime and your body's just like, oh, hell, we're doing this. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's the second wind. The second wind. Yeah. Well, I will. I think we'll ask this last one, and then I'll close it down. I don't. It's with all these beautiful lights. It's hard to tell that this is actually my bedroom. And being that it is that I'm married, my poor wife has to be exiled to another room while I'm doing this. So we'll call this the last one, and then let my wife back into her room that she lets me use. So it's from AMS Magician, and it's he wants to know your thoughts on this is my resident coin guy, right? I've got a lot of card fans, and I was so thrilled that you came on today because it was I love coin magic. I'm not exclusively I would consider myself a card magician who does some coin magic, right? So,
yeah, I do a lot of card stuff actually when I'm not rolling Bubba's dead body across the tables.
Better wash your hands before you eat anything.
And anyways, go ahead.
Well, that's why I'm glad to have you on. Is that you are known for your coin work, and that we have people who this channel has a lot of people who are into cards, and I think it's important to kind of expand their knowledge about what other types of disciplines are out there in magic. And so it was really, really cool to have you on. And AMS, we have this Discord server where the coin magic, he's like one of 2 or 3 guys who are in there out of 32 members so far. So I feel for him, and I want to make sure that he's getting the love too, because this guy is he's really good.
Nice.
he wants
it's hard as a coin magician, man. I know.
Man.
It's like you walk into jams groups and you're like, you're there, you're going to like, hey guys, and everyone.
Show me your
cards, let's go.
Yeah, but how do you? Those coins are nice, but how do you do a diagonal palm shift with them? You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do 52 coins? You know? Well, yeah.
I actually came up with the Elmsley coin count just as a icebreaker for the card groups.
Did you? Look, an olive branch bridging the gap between us. That's awesome. So I want to make sure I give him the proper love because he's a good dude.
Nice.
He's a valued member of the community. He wants to know your thoughts on the Harada hold. He says,
hold.
I can do it, but I don't see many uses for it. What seems pointless concealment. I wasted a lot of time learning.
I tend to do it like this: get here, go here, come in, boom, vanish, and then show. I'll steal it from like Dimanche Palm and then produce. That tends to be how I use it. I use like as a one-off thing. It's like as a utility. There's this guy with Kimchi Coin or something on Instagram. I watched him do a routine with like $3 silver, and he's like this. And he somehow managed to switch $3 silver for the 3 Chinese coins that were Harada hold.
Holy
and
God!
I still to this day don't know how to do it. It blew my mind, and it was one of those things that like I watched it one more time, and then refused to watch it ever again because I didn't want to ruin it for myself. It's like, okay,
I don't want
twice, that's it.
I don't want to know.
So yeah, I know. I've heard the stories that Lawrence Godden can muscle past a coin and catch it in Harada hold.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding me! No.
Yeah, it's been said. I don't know, but that's what I've heard.
Video or it didn't happen, Wow.
Yeah, no, I haven't really found like a regular use for it. I never really use it. I have used it sometimes. If I have like a really difficult spectator, I may just throw that in there every once in a while. When you're here and you do this, it's just
it is pretty. Yeah, he's kind of like, I spent all this time learning it, and like I feel like that's all I can do with it.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I tried out. Let's see. I used to be able to do it like 2 coins disappears. 2. Nope, I can't get the 2. I used to be able to get the 2. Yeah, Dimanche is a great way to. Nope, I can't get it. Dimanche Palm is a great way to get in and out of Harada holds because you can steal from there by just like a hand wipe gesture. Or you can load in there in the same way. But
I want to
never
ask you.
found much use beyond that.
This is kind of on a Harada hold. I'm sorry. I know I said we're done and everything, but
Since the complete vanish, is that where this is going?
No, maybe the thought about using it as or use it instead of. Do you think it's a crutch if you used a wristwatch instead?
No, I mean if you have a wristwatch, why wouldn't you?
Like that's like, there's an effect I really like, just a vanish that Jay Sankey does, or vanish in a production, and instead of putting it Harada hold because Jay Sankey's not a coin virtuoso, he just balances it on the lip of his wristwatch, right? It just sits there and like
you could grip it with your wristwatch and part of the skin and get it to the point where you can do this. It could help you do Harada hold even if you wanted. But yeah, or you can just use it as a lip there. But if that's what you're gonna do, you don't even need a watch to do that. I can do this, and it's not on a watch. It's actually just balancing there. I'm not
Danny,
Harada hold either.
I'm getting one of my dollar coins. That's what I'm doing.
I'm just straight up balancing it here, and you can use it that way, and that's the way I use it a lot because apparently my youthful skin still has way too much elasticity, and it doesn't fold around the coin. I have to literally add some moisture via saliva to get it to grip the coin enough that I can do this.
You know what? I'm sitting here looking at my arm. You can't see me.
Yeah, no.
I really am like a cat.
Like cats.
No, that's bull crap. I'm sorry, Danny, but I can't do that. I'm hairy though. I'm like, is that the thing?
I hear that makes it really tough.
I'm like the second coming of Robin Williams
Yeah.
over here. You know.
Oh yeah, I hear that makes it tough.
Okay, so maybe I need to shave my arms.
Yeah, you need to shave your.
Did you see the comment I left on Instagram earlier? Somebody asked me if I shaved, and I said only my legs.
I saw that. I was like, that's so good.
It's like, what do you mean? Do I shave? What kind of question is that? I have a beard.
This is the best response. Oh man.
Oh man,
Well,
Danny, this was a lot of fun.
this was a lot of fun. Yeah, we could do it again sometime. If you
I
want.
would love
I'll
that.
Come jump on your Discord group and hang out, you guys.
That would be awesome. You are always welcome there.
Yeah, send me a link to it. I didn't know you had one.
Oh yeah, we'll make that happen.
Cool.
I think my mods will help me with that. Or all right, wonderful. Danny, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yeah.
Did
Did we answer all the questions?
As many as I could find. So there might be some more hidden in there, but as far as I know.
Well, yeah, as long as we got the majority of them, I hope everyone was satisfied and enjoyed this, and it was a pleasure.
For me
much
too.
fun.
For us too.
Cool.
All right, thank you so much, and feel better soon too.
Thanks. Today's been a good day, so that's nice. Yeah.
Good.
Had some relief today. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. Have a fantastic night, morning, wherever you are. Till next time.
Cheers. Guys, that was Danny Goldsmith Q&A. What the heck? That was awesome. Thank you all for being here and hanging out with us. If you're new to the channel, take a peek around, see if you like anything. If you're still here at the end of this, maybe you found this interesting. This is what kind of stuff. This is the kind of content I try to bring you guys. So consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I invite you to come check me out and just be part of the community. We got a Discord, got a whole bunch of kind of fun stuff that you can find out what we're doing on the goings on. So thank you to my mods for helping out and just keeping the chat flowing. And it looks like we had a troll on there earlier, so thank you for taking care of that and responding. Couldn't do this without you guys. If you want to check out MODUS by Danny Goldsmith, there's links in the description, and there have been a whole bunch in the chat. In fact, it just put another one up, so thank you. My mods are the best, and I thank you guys for coming to join me tonight. Thank you to Danny Goldsmith for coming on and sharing his wisdom with us. I had an amazing time with him, and I a couple times got a little bit too giddy and had to bring it back a little bit because it was really fun to talk to him. So I hope we have him back. Thank you all very much, and I'll see you in the next one.